Welcome back to the final episode of this year of 8mm Syndicate's hit list. I'm Anubhav,
And I am Achyuth.
and today we're going to discuss our favorite performances of the year.
Right off the bat, it's been a tough list to compile and shorten down because this year has had quite a few stellar performances, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an embarrassment of riches when it comes to movies and performances. I think I have a list where I'm maintaining all the movies I've seen, and it takes the list till about 70 films for it to go from great films to mediocre films.
Hmm.
So you can imagine there's at least 60 films which are pretty good and which have fantastic performances.
Yeah, because you can't have a good film without great performances anchoring it.
Yeah, but I think there are some films within that which are sort of mid performances, but we're here to celebrate excellence, not mediocrity.
Yeah, true.
Like just to put out an example, I think Pranav Mohanlal is not very good in Dice Array,
Hmm.
but the film around him uses him well and is made so well that it really works despite him. Just stuff like that. Even Bison Kalamadan, I don't know how to pronounce it, but
Kalamadan.
Kalamadan. It's got Vikram Jr. and I think he is not very good in the role, but the film uses him very well. Like he doesn't have much to do, but the film posits that he's a blunt instrument and just uses him, stuff like that.
Hmm.
A great film can have a mediocre performance, but it depends on the filmmaker how to use him or her well. But again, we're here to celebrate our favorites, not our.
Not the mediocrities.
Yeah. Just one thing before we start, I want to emphasize these are our favorites. We are not awarding Oscars here. These are performances that, speaking for myself, that I enjoyed watching. They might not be the top of anyone's list or anything, but they're my favorites. It's a very subjective list.
And I would also like to highlight two things here. One, there are still a few films with great performances that I have yet to see. I'm sure the same applies to Anubhav.
Yeah.
This list is also not exhaustive. And lastly, this list is not a ranking in any way. It's just that our communication is linear, so we have to go from one to another. But these are just great performances, each of them on their own merit.
And I don't think performances are so subjective and so specific that you can't like really compare these.
Yeah, you can't. Like some characters' performance might need a lot of extraness, a lot of bombasticness. Another might need a lot of subtlety and a lot of quietness. And how do you put them one against the other? That's just not fair.
So, on that note of quietness and bombasticness, one of my favorite performances this year is from Lynn Ramsey's Die My Love.
Hmm.
It's the central performance by Jennifer Lawrence.
Mm.
It's a very bombastic, very loud performance, and Robert Pattinson, her co star, meets her on that.
Mm.
He replies to her extraness with his
Mm.
own extraness and his own
Mm.
physicality and all that. I
Mm.
think Jennifer Lawrence is very underrated because she's so charming in the interviews that you think that it's making up for her like lack of talent, but no, she is the shit. I mean, I've seen her since like Winter's Bone,
Yeah, me too.
where she was excellent, and yeah, and she's been in like so many films, Silver Linings Playbook, and of course the Hunger Games series, Mother.
Then the David O. Russell films.
The film that this is closest to is Mother,
Mm.
but in Mother she had to react a lot because things
Yeah.
were happening to her. Here it feels like a sibling film to Mother in as much as she is the one causing things. She's the one who's causing all the chaos and all the insanity that happens in the film.
Mm.
It's Die My Love is based on a book that has a lot of rich inner thoughts and everything, and the way they transmute it into film is through her performance and actions and her bizarreness. And ultimately, of course, it's about a woman who's suffering from postpartum depression, but Jennifer Lawrence really manages to make it her own and put her mark on it. Like there is a specificity to everything, like an almost animalness that she brings to it. Like there is one scene where she's just sort of left her kid and she's coming back and she's prowling in the tall grass back to her. So of course it's a collaboration with Lynn Ramsey, who brings about the best in her actors.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think every person, every lead who's worked with Lynn Ramsey has turned in like a spectacular performance. We are talking about Tilda Swinton or Joaquin Phoenix. I think those are all-timer performances from these guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jennifer Lawrence joins that pantheon. But then there are the quieter moments in the film where, so just to spoil the film a little bit, Jennifer Lawrence's character is suffering from postpartum and being uprooted from her city life, and she's in this sort of rural, like Midwest kind of town. So there is a point at which she enters into a psychiatric facility and then she leaves it, seemingly having recovered from whatever she was suffering from. But there is one scene where she's in, a state of domesticity, and she's just, preparing some food or doing like basically like normal wife in a patriarchal household kind of situation. And you can see on her face that it's coming back. Like this is not her life, and it's like slowly snapping.
Oh my God, that when you describe it, I can imagine what that performance must have been like, where you show on your face this thing creeping back in,
Yeah.
and the camera is there to show it to the audience. Oh man, that must have been insane.
Yeah, it's a tour de force of a performance. As for the film, I think it's one of those poetic films that doesn't like reveal itself on a first watch. It's very like Mother in that way, but Mother was like super extra.
Super extra and shallow if you think about it after the first watch.
Yeah, so this is sibling of Mother, which is not.
This is the yin to mother's yang.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess so. Yeah, yeah. We were talking about bombastic versus restrained, right?
Yeah.
So on the other end of the spectrum, and I know that you probably have her on your list, is Fernanda Torres.
Yes. So let's talk about Fernanda Torres's performance in Walter Salas's film I'm Still Here, which was also the Brazilian nominee for the best foreign film. And Fernanda Torres herself was nominated for the Oscars for Best Actress. And the funny thing is, in one of the houses that I was living here in Germany in the interim, one of the flatmates was a guy from Brazil who had come here to do his final thesis.
Hmm.
So I got talking to him about Brazilian cinema, and we talked about the usual suspects like Tropa de Elite 1 and 2, and then City of God. And then I asked him about I Am Still Here. And he told me that I Am Still Here was so big that after the film, a lot of people started going to the place where their house was, as depicted in the film.
Ah,
But that house is no longer there.
that's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a very understated drama film.
And for a film like that to do so well in Brazil is what blew my mind, okay? The fact that it was so popular and people were rooting for it. I think it's also because the story has a lot to do with the collective trauma that people in Brazil suffered through.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it spoke to them.
And it's directed by a billionaire, which is also a funny thing.
Yeah, Walter Salas is a billionaire, and yet he's been making a lot of good films
He's a liberal billionaire.
and a talented guy at that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, a brief about the film. This is set during a very tumultuous time in Brazil where liberal dissent and protests of any kind was heavily stomped down upon. And so people were practically operating under the radar, trying to be as supportive of the progressive movement as possible without getting caught, leading a double life. And the central family to the story is the family of Fernanda Torres. Her husband works in the government, but he has been also a liberal who's against the ways of the fascist government anyway. And eventually the government figures it out. They come home, arrest him, take him for questioning, and since then he becomes a disappeared person. And so the whole film then follows Fernanda Torres and her children, as they wait for answers, as they wait for the truth about what's happened to her husband, their father. There are many moments of cluelessness, anxiety, grief, not knowing what it is, not being able to make peace with it, but there's still hope. Then, a little spoilers here, because it's a historical film. Turns out that they interrogated the man and killed him, and many years later, Fernanda Torres finally finds out that he's dead, that it's over. This is the answer. And then they're all finally packing up to move out of this house, leave it all behind, start anew somehow, without their father present, without her husband present. And she is just taking it all in, and her face is both a wall and a cracking dam. That's the best way I can describe her performance.
Like what I can recollect is that she plays the interiority of her character really well. It's a slippery line to toe.
Exactly. That's why I said a wall and a cracking dam.
Yeah, yeah. It's very complex because on one hand you have to show the audience of the film what emotion the character is actually feeling, but on the other hand,
The other characters in the world cannot see her emotions as flowing openly.
yeah, so it's like really tricky. The one scene that I remember very well is the bank scene where she's sort of unable to withdraw her money and all that. She just plays that really well because she knows she's defeated. There is a desperation to her, but she brings like such
A
a
dignity to it.
exactly. She brings a dignity to this role. Like the character is all dignity. Like even in the final moments when she is played by Fernanda Torres's mother, that through line is there that this character is all about maintaining dignity in the storm. The performance itself manifests poetry, sort of a paean to all the people who survived that regime and resisted that regime. So I think she does a fantastic job.
And it's also one of those films where, like, if you think about it, the script cannot really say much beyond, okay, this incident happened and this happened.
Yeah,
But the entire film, the emotions are all anchored solely by the performance. So here, in fact, the performance does a lot of heavy lifting in making the film a great film.
yeah.
Since we are on the topic of restrained performances, there's one performance that I have to talk about, and that is Shahana Goswami's role in Sandhya Suri's film Santosh. A brief about the film: Shahana Goswami's character is widow whose husband was a cop who was killed during a riot or something, and she gets his job as a compassionate hire. The government has something like that. So she now joins as a constable, and we see her as the only sort of humane person in this male dominated police force that's also casteist, that doesn't care that there's a father who's coming and saying that my daughter's been missing for 2 days. They just say, oh, go out, write a complaint, come back. The apathy of the system is contrasted by her. Soon, she faces a case where this missing girl turns up dead, raped and murdered, and she's a Dalit girl. And so she takes it upon herself to really investigate this seriously. She has this sort of piercing gaze. Like, if I were to describe her gaze, it would be almost exactly like that of Smita Patil's, if you've seen her
Huh.
in films. That strong, piercing, cold lined gaze.
Just one question. Does she feel miscast?
No.
Because like Shahana Goswami, I feel like
She's like, you would describe her as someone who holds an iPhone Pro.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The character I described does not. No, she really, really fits the character. I did not know who Shahana Goswami was. This is the first time I'm seeing her. After I saw this performance, I looked her up on Instagram and I'm like, oh, this and that.
No, no, wait, you haven't seen Rock On. She played Arjun Rampal's wife in Rock On.
I saw it long ago and it's a very forgettable film, so I don't remember it. So she has that Smita Patil type piercing gaze. Okay. They have done a little bit of brown face on her, I believe, or I don't know whether she has done a lot of whitening makeup on her Instagram, whichever it is. I'm just putting that out there. But back to the performance. So she's now hot in the heels of the person who has done this abhorrent crime, and she finally catches him, and now they are interrogating him, and the camera comes to a very tight close up of her as we hear the background sounds of the violence happening. And we see her disgust at first, and she's trying to look away. And then she comes back to look at it as if she's convinced that this needs to be done because they've chased and caught the guy who did it.
Hmm.
All the evidence pointed to him. And then she herself takes her hand and uses it for the violence in extracting the confession.
Hmm.
And then she has a terrific breakdown. But until then, she is also like a cracked dam and a wall. And her eyes are betraying so many emotions, but she has to keep it all steely quiet because she's a cop, she's a junior cop. And this could be the guy she's been after. So that's why this performance, the fact that in such a tight close up in front of the camera, unflinchingly, her gaze conveys so much. I was bowled the fuck away by this performance, and because of that, this film. Like, this too is just like I'm Still Here. This is a great film that was made great heavily by this great performance. There are other great performances also, but this one obviously takes the cake.
Hmm. Nice. No, this is a film I've yet to watch, and I wouldn't say I'm excited to watch it, but I'm looking forward to it. Because it's a harrowing film about India, and
Yeah, it's
I
about the
really,
truths that we know, caste-based violence. And
yeah, all these fun subjects.
you open Twitter daily, this is what you'll see. So,
Yeah, yeah. There is a discussion to be had about how this kind of film doesn't really appeal to the people it's sort of made for. I mean, as in made for, as in,
it's made for the bourgeois.
yeah, it's made for the bourgeois who will probably never experience this sort of violence. So it's kind of feels a little pointless to me, this exercise, but ठीक है. Anyways, the other performance I loved this year, and it's from a film that I did not like too much, but from a filmmaker I really love who has stumbled a little bit. It's from Julia Ducournau's Alpha, Tahar Rahim.
Hmm.
So Alpha is a film. It's sort of a coming of age film that is set in a sort of parallel universe. It's set in like the 1990s in a parallel universe, and it flashes back to like like to the 80s or 70s or something like that.
Hmm.
But basically here there is in the flashback portions there is a
Hmm.
disease that is much like AIDS. It is sexually transmitted or like transmitted through use of needles or blood transfusion. That is, I mean, that moves like AIDS, but in effect it makes your body slowly turn into marble. So there are shots of this hospital where a lot of patients are kind of stuck in half marble bodies and stuff like that. It's
What bodies? Half
half
what?
marble, like, so the bodies become like
Oh,
marbles, like literally like a marble
so
statue.
that's how it
Yeah, that's how
progresses.
it
Okay.
progresses.
Hmm.
And the film's main narrative starts when this there is a doctor played by Golshifteh Farhani, who's one of the most beautiful women in the universe. Her daughter has snuck out to a party and he gets a stick poke tattoo done. Now, the disease has still not been eradicated, so her mother starts wondering whether, her daughter has caught the disease. Now, meanwhile, the doctor's brother, Amin, who is a recovering drug addict and is played by Rahim, whose performance I'm going to talk about, he comes to stay with them. Now, Tahar Rahim's performance actually reminded me of two Paul Mescal performances, which are from All of Us Strangers as well as,
After Sun.
yeah, so it's a bit of After Sun, it's a bit of All of Us Strangers in it, in how heartbreaking this performance is. He plays a junkie, has sort of who flits between not wanting to be a junkie and then giving into the junkiness. And he is this very damaged individual, but he's also like a charming uncle, he's a charming, fun uncle. What a junkie is between his phases of, addiction. Tahar Rahim portrays that really well. Now, I haven't seen Tahar Rahim in a lot of films. Like, I missed Un Prophet, and
I have seen Un Prophet, and he's good in it.
amazing because what he's done is he's sort of slimmed down, so his muscles look like sinews. He brings the physicality of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker performance. which was very admirable in that film. But I don't like that film, but that aspect of it was very admirable. So he really brings that here. With every move of his muscle, he's sort of conveying a sort of vulnerability and also a sort of dangerous strength. Like you can feel at any point that in the performance that this guy is going to like fuck up majorly.
Yeah, he's gonna break. Yeah, when you mentioned that it reminded you of Paul Mescal from All of Us Strangers, I'm like, okay, that means he's screaming that he's a train wreck waiting to happen.
Yeah. Tahar Rahim's performance is much better. He gets to do much more, of course, but he has this innate charm that he can turn on itself. Like he will be charming one moment and he will be like really, I wouldn't say terrifying, but kind of scary the next.
Dark.
So this film is kind of, it jumps between being really beautiful and then really bad. That's the only way to describe it. But he is the brightest spot in this weird film, and his performance is, I think, one of the best performances I've seen this year.
The next performance that was unforgettable for me this year was Ray Fiennes in Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later. He plays this doctor who's still living in this post-apocalyptic land, and he is trying to sort of make sense of everything by giving dignity to even the dead bodies of all the dead people. And but people think that he's this crazy guy because he walks around with carrying dead bodies and burning them and taking their skulls out and their bones and creating a bone temple, and he's walking around all yellow in color because of the iodine which he puts on himself because it protects him from the zombie virus thingy, the rage virus. So people stay away from him, but he's actually this very sensitive, kind, warm person. And he comes into the film at about the third act, like properly.
Hmm. I think his casting is very interesting because Raffine is known for playing villains in a lot of mainstream movies.
Yes.
Like of course there is Harry Potter, and then there is like Schindler's List, which are the big ones, and also Clash of the Titans, which not a lot of people remember, but
Yeah, and then even in the menu, he plays a sinister character. You got that sinister disposition.
yeah, and then there's a scene in 28 Years Later which sort of builds him up to be this sinister force, like basically builds him up to be a psychopath.
Yeah.
And then when he finally appears, he's like nothing like you'd expect. He's the most gentle force in the world of the film.
The gentleness comes across even in his voice, like his cadence. When he speaks to the protagonist, who's a child, or his mother, who's confused with her brain tumor and everything, he is just so kind and gentle in his words, not just in how they sound, but in his choice of words and his actions. His actions show the ultimate kindness that he gives to the world. But the main thing is there's this one scene, very pivotal scene, where he's explaining to the protagonist child that, there's one truth in life, and that is that we all must die. But then the other truth is that we all must love, because if you know you're going to die anyway, why not also love? We are capable of it. And if we love, then we must understand that when those who love us, when they die, there are many kinds of death, but going with your loved ones who care for you, who are there for you, there right at the end, well, that's a good kind. So he's literally soothing this child and explaining what death is, and is helping this child let go of his mom, whom he then euthanizes later on. My God, the amount of gentleness that you have to bring into that performance to make that hard hitting a moment actually land,
Hmm.
actually calm you. Because I was grieving with the child, I was crying buckets when the scene was happening, and then his words came and they soothed my tears. I was still crying, but I was okay. I knew I'd be okay. And that to me is a hat tip performance right there. It wouldn't have been made without this performer doing what he did.
His performance is the most important performance in the film, because like the kid in the film, Spike, until now he's only seen like death and destruction and violence and all that.
And disappointing men.
Yeah, exactly. Like his main male hero has disappointed, and then you come to Ralph Fiennes, and he's firstly, I mean, it's really crucial that he has the physicality of an action hero in this, but he has the demeanor of, like, like a scientist. It's basically the role Dave Bautista longs for.
Yeah. Which is sort of almost got in Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, it's sort of similar to the guy he played in Blade Runner. This is a very pivotal role, and Ralph Fiennes is, as usual, excellent. He has never not been excellent in anything except for, I think, Clash of the Titans. He always brings his A game to every film. I mean, it's not in my top five favorites, but thinking of Ralph Fiennes, so one of my favorite Ralph Fiennes performances is M. Gustav in Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yes, yes.
So just jumping off that, I mean, I feel like all of Wes Anderson's films have amazing performances, but since they're, cartoonish and kind of, dialed into the Wes Anderson quirks and the Wes Anderson grammar, so to say, that's why I feel like a lot of his performances get ignored. And one of the performances that will be ignored come award season and by the world at large is Michael Cera in Phoenician Scheme. He plays like an intern or something. He plays Bjorn Lund, who's like a sort of a assistant to Benicio del Toro's character. Spoilers for the film, and halfway through the film, we find out that he's actually a spy. And Michael Cera is so good in this role. It's basically like a side comic role, but he is perfect. So his accent is unimpeachable. I found something on the trolley. It's so funny. It's a perfect accent for the role.
Mm.
And after he's revealed as a spy, there is a comical transformation he undergoes where he goes from this nerdy assistant to becoming suave and super cool like a spy.
Mm. Mm.
It's a hilarious transformation, and Wes Anderson's paints are his actors.
Mm.
Michael Cera should have been in his palette for a long time. He's been utilized so well in this film. If you were counting, this would be my sixth favorite performance. Like, just didn't make the list, but it's a fun performance.
Mm. It's an honorable mention.
Yeah, it's an honorable mention. Moving on from that, I this is my second favorite performance of the year, and I think it might be one of your favorites as well.
Ooh, which one? Which one?
It's Delroy Lindo as Delta Slim.
Oh, Delta Slim in Sinners.
My God, what a performance!
Oh man, it's like I have seen Lindo in other roles before, and I swear he has transformed himself into Delta Slim completely. Oh, what a bombastic performance!
Yeah, I think Sinners has the best ensemble of any film this year,
Yes, not one misfire.
but Delroy Lindo really, really stands out. His character is kind of tough because he has to be the comic relief in some ways, but he's also an elder black.
An elder, the wise old man.
Yeah, so he has to have that facet to him as well, and that tragedy, and so he has to be a sage and a fool at the same time.
Hmm.
It's a difficult role, and
And at the same time, he has to show the weight of him being an alcoholic and what makes him an alcoholic, all the shit
yeah.
that he's seen. Being an elder in those times means having survived and witnessed a lot of atrocities and lost many people. And you see that weight that he carries.
Yeah, so we have various scenes that address different facets of his character. Like there is a moment where he has to be vain and funny and pathetic, and then he has to be sad and elegiac, and then there is another scene where he has to be the elder, and then again another scene where he gets the biggest laugh in the film, I think.
You know what? I think I done shat myself.
Yeah, yeah, that is perfect comic timing. But here's the thing, like it's a tricky needle to thread. Like, how do you play these parts while making them feel like the same character? It really does feel like Delta Slim.
It is one person still at the end of the day. We never feel like, oh, they are jarring.
Yeah, it's a really well-rounded character. He's probably like the fourth most important character in the plot. He steals every scene he's in, but he's generous enough to be a supporting actor.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better myself, dude. Dude, there's one deleted scene. Have you seen it where it's just him singing a song?
Yeah, yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. I mean, I understand why it's deleted.
That was also so great. Him lost in it and just singing and playing to his heart's content. I mean, that's also a side of Delta Slim that we see when he becomes one with the music. Like he's truly one with the music, and you feel that also. So, even from a musical standpoint, his performance is shining. And that is an additional layer that none of the other performances have had to tackle.
Yeah, and I think the scene which sort of establishes the main theme of the film, which is where music comes from and why is it so important. Sort of emblematic in that scene where he has a monologue in the car when they're going to the juke bar. If he's nominated for an Oscar, this is the scene they should show, where he starts talking about his experiences in prison and
His friend who took all the money and got lynched.
yeah, all that stuff. And right after finishing his very horrible, sad story, he starts thrumming his, thrumming like something, like he basically starts tapping and
Like, something like that he goes.
yeah, so basically they're using music as a sort of a release from all the trauma that they have.
Yeah.
And it's one of Sinner's most crucial scenes.
And I love how he's initially so cautious about Sammy. Like, who's this kid? Is he gonna try and play music where I'm playing? And then later he becomes a mentor and a protector to Sammy.
Yeah, because he can't help it. He's an elder black, right? You have to become a mentor to these guys.
Yeah. And like when Sammy is about to perform, he tells him, hey, no, stop, stop, stop. Tell him your name. Where are you from? I can just go on talking about this character and the performance. So,
So in The Hero with a Thousand Faces, which is like this Christopher Vogler's thesis on stories and how all stories are kind of the same, there is an element where the hero of the story meets the wizard. In 28 years later, the wizard is Kelson. And in this film, it is Delroy Lindo's character, Delta Slim. It's a terrific performance in a film full of terrific performances.
yeah. In fact, like I had a tough time figuring out whether I would pick Delroy Lindo or Michael B. Jordan also because what he does is two distinct characters.
Or Wunmi Mokasu or Miles Caton or Jack O'Connell.
Yeah, all of them.
There are so many good performances in this film.
Everyone is firing on all cylinders in that film.
Kind of crazy how good this film is, but I mean,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
could just turn our podcast into a sinners podcast and not be famished for content.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, that was Delroy Lindo in Sinners, a great film that we can't stop talking or thinking about. Now, my favorite performance this year is from a film by a director. I don't know. He's a great director, but he's not very fussy about his films. He's not hoity-toity or pretentious.
Hmm.
It's Ethan Hawke from Blue Moon.
Oh, Richard Linklater.
Yes.
Okay. Now I know why you say he's not hoity-toity and all.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
This is a movie that I have yet to see. I'll probably watch it tonight. But tell me why this performance is so great.
Yeah, so basically, this is kind of it's based on the life of Lawrence Hart, who used to be a sort of he used to be a duo with Richard Rogers, and they have composed a lot of show tunes and all that. Show tunes are basically Broadway musical pieces,
Hmm.
so musical theater songs.
Hmm.
And what happened was Richard Rogers sort of split away from him and started writing and composing with Oscar Hammerstein.
Hmm.
And Hammerstein and Rogers then became like a hit duo while Lawrence Art sort of faded into obscurity.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's basically the story. And Blue Moon is a film about a loser, and it's set in a pivotal day in the beginning of his loserdom.
You know, if there is anyone whom I can imagine playing a loser perfectly, it's Ethan Hawke because he's played quite a few of them very well.
Yeah, but this one it sort of takes on like some other abilities of Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke is a great raconteur, and so is Lawrence Hart. And you know how Jesse in the before films can't stop talking.
Yes.
He brings this aspect, and Lawrence Hart is this very literate, erudite fellow. So he's talking in like very flowy, beautiful sentences, but he can't stop talking. And the reason he can't stop talking, so he's at a restaurant called Sardi's, and he's at the bar. So Sardi's is this famous place where after any play or musical, the staff of those plays, they go and chill out over there. So it's very famous. It's a fixture in New York. Now what has happened is he is waiting for the premiere party of his former partner's latest hit play called Oklahoma. So Oklahoma has just premiered, and he's expecting the premiere party. We see him sort of walk away from Oklahoma after being like this play kind of sucks. He's at the bar, he's talking with the bartender, and the bartender is like, we're not he's an alcoholic. So he's trying to recover. So there are fun bits where, I mean, not fun, but there's an interesting bit where he asks the bartender to pour a glass just so he can see it. So obviously, as the evening goes along, he can't help but drink because it doesn't go well for him. As a raconteur, he kind of holds fort, and he sort of brings other people into the conversation. He wants an audience, is the notion you get. And the reason he wants an audience is because he's short, he's bald, he's not a superstar looking guy, he's kind of ugly, he's got all these deficiencies, and he knows it. So he had to sort of compensate for that by being loud in his, not just audibly loud, but also in his sentences and in his exhortations.
Hmm. Loud is like his way of life.
Yeah, from the beginning, he's a very compelling, pathetic man. So if you make them just pathetic, it's not fun to watch. But since he's so compelling in his speech and all that, he's a very interesting character that way.
He's a bit enthralling in a way.
Yeah, he's very arresting, and it's sort of like watching a train wreck because you know that whatever he hopes for and everything, he's gonna fail. It's written on his face. He sort of knows it underneath his skin, and that is something that Ethan Hawke plays well.
He's like a walking self-fulfilling prophecy from the way you describe it.
I wouldn't know about self-fulfilling, but he knows that he's fucked. He's very self-aware under the surface, and Ethan Hawke really plays that very well. But he still hopes nonetheless. Like there is a scene where he's like playing a 50-year-old Lawrence Hart, but Lawrence Hart has a crush on Yale art student played by Margaret Qualley. So I mean, it's serious then. But she wants to have nothing to do with him. Like it's very obvious that she's using him as a ladder to climb on to reach Richard Rogers and people who can actually get her a job. So there is this one scene where Lawrence Hart takes her to like a secret place and just talks with her, and she talks about her experience, and he is just a mute spectator, and whatever she says, it stings him like a Cupid's arrow, even though those were meant to be needles. It's played so well by Linklater and the entire company. It's one of those rare performances that invokes sympathy. Again, like he doesn't ask for sympathy, but you give it. Sympathy, as in the sort of sympathy you would have for a wounded puppy or some shit like that.
Yeah. Pity almost.
Yeah, pity is the right word. Yeah, it's one of those kind of performances, and again, it's like perfect for him because you can see someone of Jesse, from before, turn into this. Youth has left me, and all I've got is my words. It's sort of like that. And my cynicism and my anger and my sadness. That's all that's left. I don't know if it'll get any awards play, but it's an amazing performance of a diminutive man being further diminished.
I really want to watch it now.
Yeah, yeah, check it out. I think you'll like it.
Before I reveal my last name, I just want to give one honorable shout out to Benicio del Toro
Yeah,
for what he did in one battle after another. Now, I'm singling out Del Toro over Leo and even Chase Infinity, and Sean Penn.
we can talk about the ensemble because I feel like there are two performances I really love from that film, and none of them are the main players. One is the teacher that Leonardo DiCaprio talks with while smoking a vape.
Yeah, but duty is the right kind of history and all that.
Yeah, her performance is hilarious as just someone reacting to this crazy guy. Yeah, and then I really love actually the three. I really love the doctor when after Leo is Bob Ferguson is arrested, and she's like, "Do you have diabetes?" And she sort of nods and like sort of
No, no, no. She uses the word bad hombre.
yeah. That's the key word. Like that's
That's the word that the sensei also used. So
Yeah, so she's working with Sensei. And I really like the lady who sort of comes into the hospital room and helps him escape. I mean, there are such well cast performances and there are these one scene bit parts, and the rest of the film is just it's full of great performances. We can talk about the ensemble of it. I feel like Sinners, it's got a great ensemble.
yeah, but we can talk about the ensemble of it. We can talk about how amazing and disgusting Sean Penn is. So
Oh my God, he's
he just nails it. Like you feel like spitting and puking on him. He's that vile a character.
the scene he has with Chase Infinity is an amazing scene.
With the paternity test, and then he's losing it.
The one where he goes, "I'm not a homosexual." If you're thinking that, it's so funny.
Oh man. Oh fuck. And even Leo as this pathetic, washed out, burnt out addict of a guy who was a shadow of his past self. Brilliant performance, man. No ego whatsoever. Absolutely no ego.
Yeah, it's a character who achieves kind of nothing by the end of the film.
No, he does achieve. Like he achieves a different worldview.
Yeah, yeah, he achieves a different worldview and he achieves a connection with his daughter. But I mean,
Yes.
plot wise, he doesn't like.
No, his life doesn't change. So his performance was also great. Like you said, the whole every performer in this choir was hitting it out of the park. But for me, it's Benicio del Toro because he has such little screen time, so few lines of dialogue, but with each and every bit of it, he becomes iconic.
Hmm.
And it's his comic timing is also perfect. It felt like he's an extension of his Wes Anderson persona a bit, but slightly dialed down in this film.
No, he feels effortless. That's what this performance is like.
Yeah, he feels as effortless as the character he's playing is supposed to be in life. And I think like his character of Sensei is someone who is like no fear, like Tom fucking Cruise. Just
Yeah.
do it. Fuck the authorities. Hide all the illegal immigrants and fuck the authorities. We'll keep moving them around. We have our system. Nothing will stop us. That calm with when all chaos is happening, he's just opening a beer and giving one to Leo. He's just so zen,
Yeah.
and every bit of the performance reflects that zen to the point where his last line also, oh, just a few small beers with that playful smile. Oh man, that frame is etched in my heart very specially.
He's this very zen, impish kind of character. By the way, did you know this? They held up the film for like 3 months so that Benicio could come and shoot.
Good.
Like he ballooned the budget by $50 million or something like that
Why?
because they had to hold the sets for so long.
Oh, for 3 whole months they had to hold all the sets of 50.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know the exact amount, but he ballooned the budget quite a bit.
I'd like to think that Paul Thomas Anderson knew exactly why Benicio was so important for the role.
Yeah, he makes the role. I can't see anyone else in that role. He also came to set and he was like, "I'm not prepared for this at all."
He basically just winged it.
Yeah, he winged it. He winged it. He winged the entire thing.
Uh, I'm now going to reveal the last name in my list, but very, 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 very quickly before that, just two shout outs. One is to Anjanua Ellis Taylor, who played the protagonist's grandmother in Nickel Boys, and she's facing the camera directly a lot, and her gentleness and kindness does a lot of heavy lifting, and it's one of my most cherished performances of the year. And the last shout out is to Marianne Jean Baptiste, whose performance in Hard Truths as this depressed, always angry, cantankerous person who's always exploding and irritable, and everyone sort of just either keeps quiet or just can't stand her. And then she unravels, and we see why she's the way it is. It's an amazing performance, mainly also because I think that we all know someone like that in real life, and I could recognize that in the performance. So again, an unforgettable role. And now my the last name in my list of favorite performances is Stellan Skarsgård,
Yes.
who played Gustav Borg in Joachim Trier's Sentimental Value.
I really dig this performance as well. If you've seen Jay Kelly, which I think a few people have seen, which is about George Clooney as a big actor who's trying to reconnect with his daughter and all that, I feel like this is a better version of Jay Kelly and a nice sequel to Jay Kelly. It's funny how these two films are in conversation.
Hmm.
But yeah, Skarsgård is, I think this is one of his finest performances, and
And that is saying something for a man with Skarsgård's career.
among the Skarsgårds, he sort of proves बाप बाप होता है. I feel,
Yeah, the Betes still haven't done anything that can come close to what he's done.
yeah,
One just looks good, other just does a lot of makeup-y shit.
all of them are good. No, Alexander was amazing in Succession. He was so fucking good in Succession. Like that's the only time I feel like he's been utilized well.
Actually, yeah. Everywhere else, he's just the tall, good-looking Scandinavian dude who looks like a spitting image of the younger version of his father.
Yeah, he'll be in a film called Pillion that will release sometime soon that I'm looking forward to. I like all his kids that I've seen.
I mean, they're good. We are talking about acting in the scale, where you can show emotions in this scale.
Yeah, but बाप बाप होता है.
There was no doubt that Stellan's one of the greatest actors. I mean, what he did in Andor is, to me, one of the greatest performances of all time. And then comes this role where he's playing an old filmmaker who's trying to come back. He's finally written a script. This time it's about him, his daughter, his mother. All of these things are intertwined in this story. He's actually got two daughters that he's pretty much estranged from after he divorced their mother, and then he just went off to Sweden and then to make movies and everything. And now he's back with the script and he's old. He's trying to reconnect with them. He's trying to deal with his own generational trauma because, well, his mother died by suicide, and that could possibly explain why he is the way he is. There are all these things, and this whole thing is basically how a family that has got a shit ton of intergenerational trauma has to deal with it. That's the film. But the reason I'm singling out his performance is because of one scene and one scene alone. Very early on in the film, he has described the way his film is going to end. And then, right at the end,
Hmm.
we see that shot taking place with his own daughter playing character as intended originally. And he sees his daughter act out those bits that represent his mother's last moments.
Hmm.
And so he's connecting with what his mother did. He's connecting with his daughter again, who has now agreed to be in his film and who has given that great performance of his own mother's emotional weight. And in a way, he has been able to exorcise his past pain in that very moment. So all of these emotions are now happening together at the same time. And the camera is now in a very tight close up on Selin's face. And it's just his eyes, not even his lips, nothing. It's just his eyes that change into the various emotions before they settle down into something that we can just call overwhelm. But again, it's all there in the eyes, nowhere else in the body. And then he gets up and he's standing a bit hunched, quiet, a bit away from everyone else. That's performance, man. That's performance.
I actually really like the bit where he goes to meet his old cinematographer.
Oh, that's my second favorite scene too.
Yeah, yeah, and he's all happy and everything, and then
He's so happy, like, you will come now, you will do my film now. Cinematographer, like, yes, of course. You told me I will come. तूने बुलाया तो मैं आएगा.
he's like, I'm getting the gang back together. It's ultimately it's about lost time. I feel this film it's about lost time and like just regret. What happens is he's got this mood of we're getting the band back together. It'll be just like how it was 10 years ago. We'll make films 15 years ago, which is when he made his last film. And then the cinematographer has in sort of out of focus. He's sort of having difficulty getting off his chair.
He slowly gets up and then reaches for the cane under the chair on the side.
He's struggling to get off from the chair and then he picks up the cane and then he's freely walking with the cane and Stellan realizes at that moment that this isn't happening, that he realizes that they've gotten older and that he's chasing a past that can't afford to exist anymore. And the
Yeah.
scene after that where he's talking with the cinematographer and he goes, we'll have to get, before that he's been ecstatic and very jovial about it, and then he's sitting down and he says, we have Netflix involved, there are so many other people that we want to meet, so I'll have to run it through them. But the message is conveyed, the cinematographer knows that he's getting a denial.
Yeah. You can see that in the cinematographer's face also. And it doesn't break his heart even. He's like, "Hmm, okay, I understand."
No, the thing is, it breaks Stellan's heart more than the cinematographer's,
Yes.
which he plays on his face.
Yes. But later also one scene comes where Stellan's character is talking to his old producer friend. And they're like, what if this is the last movie that we make together? The lost time and mortality is also a big theme, when you
Yeah.
come, this guy is coming back after 15 years, he's old. There's suddenly limited time and a lot of things left unresolved.
Yeah, again, not to bring it back to Jay Kelly, but Jay Kelly is trying to play with these themes, but this film does it so much more better because Jay Kelly is about the relationship between an actor and like a superstar and his manager. And similarly, Stallone has a lot of scenes with his manager here. But of course, as a filmmaker, and this film is leagues above Jay Kelly. I don't know why I have to bring in Jay Kelly. It's just funny that these two similar films came out in the same year, and there is such a huge power gap between them.
And Jay Kelly is made by no welterweight. It's made by Noah Baumbach.
Yeah, yeah, it's made by Noah Baumbach, but I don't know. It feels so fake compared to Sentimental Value, which feels quite real in its filmmaking and in particularly assessing a certain sort of European filmmaker. He's sort of Haneke-esque is the vibe I got. Like Gustav,
Yeah, Gustav Bog.
he feels like one of those peers of Haneke and all that. Haneke and Von Trier and those sort of Scandinavian filmmakers.
Yeah, except he's portrayed to be a lot nicer than them.
Yeah, he's much nicer than either
Either
of
of
those
them.
ice cream bastards. Yeah. No, that is the thing they address in the film, right? When Agnes is like, he was a great father on set, but off set, he was kind of non existent. So he's like a nurturing presence on set, and we see that in his interactions with Elle Fanning as well.
Yes.
Yeah, where of course it's not working out, but he wants to make it a comfortable process for her and he wants to goad her and sort of encourage her and gently sort of guide her to
Yes.
and also manipulate her a little bit with
Like when he tells her that the same IKEA stool is what his mom used to.
the way it plays out. Because even you're in Elle Fanning's place, right? He's like,
Yes, yes.
my mom committed suicide right here. In fact, the tool you're sitting on is the very tool she pushed. And he tells this to Agnes, and Agnes is like, "But that's from IKEA," So it's a funny moment.
And it's a nice warm moment between the father and the daughter.
Yeah. The problem is that he hasn't given them time. That's the main problem.
Exactly what Agnes is also saying, that he was there only for his films, the moment,
Yeah,
and so she also did the film to spend time with him in a way.
yeah, yeah.
And then he was gone. And same way, he was never at all there with, I'm forgetting Renata Reinsberg's character's name.
Nora.
Nora, yeah. He was not at all there for her. And that is even more damning considering the fact that she has struggled a lot with a lot of mental health issues herself.
That her father does not know about. That was never told to him, anyways.
No, that's what it wasn't told to him because he has been absent from the start. If he were present, he would have been told, right?
Yeah, but it's like a character study of these people, like Nora and Stellan Skarsgård character.
Yes. The film has two protagonists, Nora and Stellan, and Agnes is a very strong supporting character.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, again, a very good film. I know you loved this way more than I did. I kind of dozed off halfway through. No fault of the film. But I really liked whatever I remember seeing of it. Like it made a strong impression on me.
I am a huge Joaquin Trier fan. Okay, I've seen the all of his Oslo trilogy.
Thelma is the one I love the most because it's like an X-Men film.
Yeah, Thelma is his most unusual film. Like it's unlike any of the films he's done. He did that one film and then he went back to his usual style, which is a very cinema verite type, minimalistic. Let the actors and the dialogues and the setting do the talking.
It was written by Eskil Vogt. He wrote Sentimental Value as well. So Eskil Vogt is, I think, like he's a constant collaborator.
Constant collaborator with Trier.
Yeah, and I think Eskil Vogt is the guy who does weird shit. He's the one who did The Innocents right after Thelma, which I loved, which is like a X-Men movie.
Hmm.
But anyway, so that was your favorite performance of the year?
No. Like I said, I'm not putting any one performance above the other. This was just
Uh-huh.
the final one in my list of favorite performances. They are all equally worthy of embrace and love and adulation.
Yeah, because every film is like so different. I don't know how you can.
Exactly. These are all performances that served a specific purpose for the specific film. All we have to care about is how effective the performance itself was in the film and the world and the story.
Yeah.
By that barometer is what I have mentioned the names that I have mentioned. Yeah, sure. Stellan's performance and sentimental value will probably, off the top of my head, years later also be remembered as a fine performance from this year, without a doubt.
Yeah, yeah. I think that'll be true of Stellan's performance. I think that'll be true of the two ensembles that we discussed.
Yes, Sinners and One Battle After Another.
Fernanda Torres's performance is gonna be discussed for ages. But I think the rest of our stuff was kind of niche, which I like. So speaking of just like a rapid fire, since the year is ending, what are your top 10 films right now? We won't do a large discussion, but let's just like rapid fire. What's top 10 on your list to close out the year? I'll just rattle off mine. At about 10 is 28 years later. At 9, it's I'm Still Here. Number 8 is Flow, which is the animated film. At number 7, It Was Just an Accident, the Jafar Panahi film. At number 6, it's Noja 2, the Chinese film that made $2 billion. At number 5, The Brutalist.
Mm.
At number 4, Guadagnino's Queer. At number 3, One Battle After Another.
Mm.
At number 2, Sinners. And at number 1, what else could it be but Nickel Boys?
So I'm just gonna say all the films one by one, but I'm gonna name one film as the numero uno because I'm confident about that. Okay, so here's my top 10 of the year now that 2025 is over. And just a short note, 2025 was a very shit year. It was a very shit year for me personally, but in terms of movies, yeah, one hell of a year. And please let 2026 be more of this.
Yeah.
And so here we go. First one, 28 years later. Second, Sinners. Third, I Am Still Here. Fourth, Flow. Fifth, The Brutalist. Sixth, It Was Just an Accident. Seventh, One Battle After Another. Eighth, Sentimental Value. Ninth, Small Things Like These, which was the Killian Murphy film about weird churches that, took all the prostitutes and mentally disabled women and everything and made them do slave labor and shit and then buried them in unmarked graves. So it's a pretty harrowing film and very well made minimalist film that I loved. So small things like these. And last but totally not the least, but quite the opposite, it's Nickel fucking Boys.
What else could it be?
Yeah, what the fuck else could it be? It was almost like, a bit like 2001 Space Odyssey going through the Space Gate type experience when we watched Nickel Boys. Like, we couldn't believe what the medium of cinema was doing to us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the most revolutionary film I've seen in ages. since it's the final thing of the year, I also want to know like what is the film you're most excited for in 2026?
As of now, it's Odyssey.
For me, I am kind of excited for Odyssey, Dune 3, and the new Eggers that's coming, even though I didn't like Nosferatu that much. And there's a new Boots Riley film coming, and 28 years later, part 2 is also coming. So there's this tons of shit to look forward to.
Oh yeah, that's coming right now, in fact, in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, in 2 weeks, bro. We're gonna see this shit in 2 weeks. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait. But Odyssey is why I said instantly, because unlike you, I saw the prologue in IMAX and Nolan is firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, Odyssey could be something really special. I had my doubts about it, but the moment I saw the Cyclops, I was like, okay, let him cook. Let this fucker cook.
Yeah, I know. The Cyclops looked amazing. Just one flash they show.
Yeah. But Nolan doing fantasy is has been on my bucket list for a while because he's such a grounded filmmaker.
And I mean, them going into the Cyclops cave and all, it will have some horror feels to it, you know. And
Yeah,
who's his editor now?
Jennifer Lim. He's the editor of Hereditary and all that.
Here's hoping that Odyssey is insane.
There is a moment where, in the story, where Odysseus and his gang go down to the underworld, and it's there in the trailer. So yeah, we're in for some primo shit.
Yes. But all the other ones you mentioned also, like the fact that we are getting Dune 3 so quick, like they fast tracked the whole fucking thing and it's Denny himself back. Yeah, I'm excited for it. Although I'm still miffed at the fact that we still haven't got the IMAX versions on Blu-ray and Denny's just all quiet about it.
Yeah, hopefully they can piss out the IMAX Blu-rays before Netflix takes over. So let's see.
Yeah, once Netflix does, then it's goodbye physical media.
Yeah, pretty much. We'll only have Universal Blu-rays. So yeah, those were our favorite performances of 2025. And if 2026 holds its promise, then we're going to have even more great performance to discuss then. So, yeah, that's about it from us for this year. Thank you for listening. Thanks to all our friends and family who have been listening to this. And if we've gotten new fans, then we're glad to have you. If you want your own movie mixtape, please feel free to click the link in the description. And yeah, that's all of it from 8mm Syndicate.
That's it from us. Happy New Year to you and all your loved ones. And we hope that 2026 is very, very kind to each and every one of you.
Viva la cinema!
Viva la cinema!